When you bring a new puppy into your home, and it's an incredibly exciting time, it's probably something you've been looking forward to for ages, but I promise you the novelty of a new puppy wears off when they soon start biting and nipping constantly. And as a canine behaviourist, it is the number one problem behaviour that people report to me with their puppies. And in today's video, I'm not just going to talk about how you can get rid of puppy biting eventually, but how you can get rid of it immediately. But before we can dive into teaching you exactly how you can stop puppy biting with your puppy, we first have to take a little bit of a step back, and we have to understand why it is that our puppies bite. That will allow us to have a little bit of empathy for them, which sets us and them up for success in being able to stop them from biting at all. Puppies are learning this new crazy world that we've brought them into, and puppies, if you didn't realise it by now, don't have opposable thumbs or fingers like we do. So they explore the world, they learn the world by putting things in their mouth the way that we pick things up and look at them as we're working out what they are. On top of that, they're also teething, and there's a good chance that their teeth are in a lot of pain, their gums are in a lot of pain, and one way in which they relieve that pain is again by putting things in their mouths and chewing on things. But the reality is that we need to teach them that our fingers, our hands are not things that they can be chewing on, and instead these are the kinds of things that they absolutely can be chewing on. And as you can see, like this with Reggie, it's incredibly easy to teach them that when you understand what you're doing. Which takes me on to the first point about having a puppy not display any problem puppy biting behaviours at all, and that is setting them up for success. Now, this doesn't have to cost you a fortune either. I buy things like this. This was a kit off Amazon, and it was just a puppy toy kit. It came with about 10 things like this, and I think it cost about £10, and this will last the entire time that he's a puppy, and he absolutely loves them. And I make sure that I have got these kinds of things on me at all times. They're in the crate with him, so he's got something to chew in the crate. If I'm asking him to do a play stay like he is right now, I'm giving him something positive to chew on, rather than setting him up to fail and then having to get frustrated or interrupt or challenge those behaviours over and over again. However, when he is chewing on the right thing, that allows me to let him know, hey buddy, that's perfect, that's exactly what you should be chewing on, by rewarding him and just letting him know that he's a good boy. So once we understand where the puppy bitings come from, and we have a little bit of empathy and understanding that it's completely normal, then we set them up for success and make sure that they have plenty of things that they should be chewing on, easily accessible for them. We need to understand that that probably won't be enough to stop your dog from puppy biting, and puppy biting is a behaviour that I think should be addressed from day one, especially if you have children, even more so. So for me, puppy biting is a behaviour that must be interrupted the second it happens, immediately, every single time with consistency. And if you do that appropriately, fairly, from a place of love, your puppy can understand what it is that they should be chewing, and more importantly, what it is that they shouldn't be chewing, incredibly quickly. The first way that I do this is called a passive interruption. The way in which I would do that is very, very simple. As soon as the puppy starts to bite or mouth or chew on something that it shouldn't, I use my verbal interruption of no, and I hold their collar. And I go stiff. If we've been playing and I've been all excitable and they get too excitable and they start mouthing on me, no, and I hold the collar. And I remove all excitement. I'm just holding the collar, and all I'm going to do is wait for him to calm down, wait for the puppy to calm down, wait for them to settle down. And as soon as I feel that they've relaxed and calmed down, I simply let go of the collar. And I'm letting them know that that is the behaviour that I expect. Biting me is unacceptable. You need to be calm and settle down right now. And through consistency, that allows you to have the success that you're looking for. Now, before we move on to the next method, which is actually the method that I use by far the most to address puppy biting, I want to let you know that there is loads more to raising and training your own perfect puppy and help them become a perfect canine companion. Not only do we need to address problem behaviours like puppy biting or obnoxious behaviours or jumping up or biting, mouthing, swatting with their paws, you also need to be doing their obedience. You need to make sure that their socialization is perfect, and you need to make sure that they have impeccable manners. And to help you do that and to guide you through that process step by step by step, I created my Perfect Puppy course. If you are interested, there'll be a link to that in the description box below. But let's move on to the next method of fixing puppy biting, which I call my active interruption. Passive interruptions are where we're just simply holding the collar. Again, it's very passive, and that is a method of interrupting the behaviour that suits people that might be more passive themselves. Whereas I believe if you want to be a strong, confident, assertive canine leader to your puppy, an active correction much better matches what the mum would have been doing with the litter mates before you bring them home. And when I bring Reggie out with my role model dog, Uncle Sully, it's exactly how Uncle Sully communicates to Reggie when he's making a mistake. The same principle applies of the second that he mouths me, chews me, bites me, anything that he shouldn't be doing, he gets his verbal interruption. No, stern, straight away. I then use my physical interruption, which is just a tap on his side with my fingers. It's just no and then tap, just a little tap in his side. You want to use as little amount of pressure as possible with your tap that achieves the desired outcome. When people struggle with this method, they find that it actually gets their dogs more excitable. And that for me is a telltale sign that they didn't use just enough pressure. And the dog thought that it was playtime rather than an interruption. And again, if you watch other dogs do this with other dogs, they get that level and that timing absolutely impeccable. This for me, I find, delivers the message way more effectively. It's a language in which puppies are very, very used to, especially when they've been well bred and have had great time with their mums, with well-rounded, balanced mums, which they absolutely should be if you chose from a good breeder. It's exactly how mum would have communicated to the puppies when they were doing something that they shouldn't. It doesn't need to be a big drama. It doesn't need to be mean. Verbal with the tap, and just enough of a tap to get them to stop. It should startle them and make them go, "Oh, what?" That's what you're looking for. You're not trying to hurt them whatsoever. It's not designed to be a physical punishment. It's designed to be an interruption, a startle, just enough to get them to go, "Oh, whoa, I'm not sure, I don't think that was right." Then we can move on to the next stages, which is to redirect and reinforce. So if I'm ever doing something with my puppy and they were to chew onto my hand, no, active interruption. As soon as they stopped and startled and they're a little bit confused, I immediately bring a chew toy out, which is why I have them as everywhere as possible. And if the dog's out, I know I need to have access to one of these. And I give it to the dog. And when they're chewing on the right thing, good boy, Reggie, good boy. And exactly in situations like this, he's going to get a belly rub. He's getting interaction from me. And I'm going to tell him that he's an absolutely great boy. And by doing this, it's communicating to him, don't chew on me, but you can chew on this. And if you are consistent with that from day one, you will have puppy biting nipped in the bud, pun absolutely intended, as quickly as possible. And like Reggie here, we had that addressed on day one. Every now and again, if he's doing like this and he's dead excited, if I brought my hands into this equation here, he might forget himself. And then I would just use my verbal interruption. And usually once you've done this a few times, your verbal interruption becomes enough. But again, you can see here, he wants to play and he's pawing at me. We'll work on all of those things, but I can put my hands around him and he knows, don't put this in his mouth. That's not what we do. But if I bring this into the equation, immediately he knows, oh, okay, that is something I can put in my mouth. Yeah, good boy. And now I'm going to let you know you're a good boy. He's getting a nice scratch behind the ear for chewing on the right thing. You set your dog up for success. You communicate what it is that you do want from them. But equally, as a calm, consistent, loving leader, we have a duty of care to help them understand what it is that we don't want from them. If that active interruption makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, or if you don't think you're confident enough to do it, utilize the passive interruption. I find it takes longer to get the message through to the dog, but it still will result in successful results if you and everybody in your family and everybody that interacts with the dog is consistent with it. And you have absolutely no reason to have a dog that has puppy biting problems.